It doesn't really feel like it, but we are already on chapter 4 of Tides of War in BF5. The latest chapter, titled Defying the Odds, has started this week, and with it, a brand new weapon is up for grabs called the S2-200. You're looking at it right now, and it sounds like a sports car, to be honest, but I can assure you it isn't. It's actually a medium machine gun, the weapons that we all love to hate. More on that shortly. Now, what people want the most for Battlefield 5 is maps, there's no doubt. We got a glimpse of some new ones coming to BF5 at EA Play, and one of those was Al Sundan. What's interesting about Al Sundan though is that it was based off a single player level under no flag. Lots of players felt that it could be converted into a multiplayer map, and so DICE did a bit of tinkering, played around, and a plan was formed. Not quite as simple as just porting it to multiplayer, mind you. They had to put a lot of work to make it a balanced map, but when a lot of us got to try it out at EA Play, I thought it was pretty nice as a very large conquest map. Big scale with a good blend of vehicle gameplay and infantry areas to fight over. Now, this was meant to launch yesterday with the start of chapter 4, but sadly it hasn't, sort of. So a problem with the conquest version of the map on one of the platforms was causing crashing, and as such the whole launch of the big version of the map has been delayed. But we are, however, at the moment able to play smaller modes on the map, so TDM and Squad Conquest. Sadly though, in my opinion, Squad Conquest doesn't really do it for me on this map. In fact, it feels more like domination than anything else. The points are very close together, and you can see most of the points from just one area of the map. In my time playing it, I wasn't convinced that it worked all that well. Team Deathmatch, on the other hand, well, that's just Team Deathmatch, and it kind of removes everything that makes Battlefield great. Not a good start for this map. There's no word just yet on exactly when the big version of it will be ready for release. I'm guessing there's some kind of a hotfix coming. Hopefully it's soon. Now then, I mentioned at the start the new gun in the game. So how do you get it? Well, it's the S2-200, and it's the first gun of chapter 4, and this is a medium machine gun, so fits nicely right into the support class. And this week's Tides of War assignment is really straightforward. It's a bit time consuming. First of all, you got to play one round in any mode. I really hope that I don't need to explain that one. And then you've got two options. You can either get 20 kills within a distance of 20 meters, which is the bottom route, or get 10 kills above 100 meters. Getting close range kills very easy in BF5. I did mine on aerodrome, just running around the middle hangar, and got it instantly. But breakthrough on a mode like that will net you it pretty fast too. Or you could go the sniper route, or you could do it with vehicles too, which happens to be one of the next steps. The very next requirement is to get 12,500 objective score, and you don't need to be doing anything specific here or changing your playstyle. Just get stuck into a big game mode that you're playing and make sure that you're playing the objective. It may take some time, but you'll get there. There are two offshoots here as well: to get 100 damage on vehicles using dynamite, so hunt down those pesky tanks, and then to spot 10 enemy aircraft. These are bonus nodes though, so you don't have to get them if you don't want to, but it will give you some extra chapter XP, which will get you to max rank before it ends. The next two steps give you another decision. You can either get 2,000 damage in ground vehicles, including stationary weapons, or 1,000 damage in air vehicles. I imagine that 1,000 score for a decent pilot is child's play, a bit trickier for someone who isn't very handy in a plane though. If you're struggling with either of these, just remember all you need to do is be in a vehicle. So if you've got someone you know that's a good tanker or pilot, hop in with them to try and get this part done. And then the last node is to get 15 objective captures. Nice and simple. The very last bonus objective is to get 5 multi-kills with the new gun, so obviously you can't do this until you've actually unlocked the thing. A spot of history on the new gun first of all. The original weapon was developed by Louis Stange of the Rheinmetall firm. However, domestic production of the gun in Germany was actually banned by the Treaty of Versailles, which was the most important of the peace treaties that brought World War I to an end. As such, Louis Stange outsourced production of the gun to Waffenfabrik of Switzerland, but got around the treaty by acquiring the majority of shareholding of the Swiss manufacturer, and then produced the gun there instead. Absolute mad lad. And it entered production and became the Solothurn S2-200. So now you know the history and you've got it unlocked. What's it like? Well, I think it's okay. I'm not really one for MMGs overall, but I do have to admit a fondness for the MG42 just because it's so iconic. There's a certain satisfaction from using it from time to time. But the S2-200 is a bit different because it doesn't have a large magazine count like all the other MMGs. In fact, it's limited to only 30 bullets, and there's no way to increase that with the specializations either. Out of the box though, it's got a 770 rounds per minute rate of fire, and you can shoot it in either fully automatic, which is what you want, or semi-auto. Now the ammo count is an interesting one. If we run through the magazine count of all the other MMGs, you can see how different this actually is. The MG34 has a default mag size of 50, but this can be upgraded to either 75 or 100, doubling it. The MG42, well, that's a default mag size of 50, but it can be increased all the way to 250 with specs. The VJO and the M1922MG are the same, default of 50, but upgradable to 100. So the S2200 not only has a lower base mag size, but it also can't be upgraded. Why? Bit strange. The weird thing about this gun though is that I didn't notice this being too much of an issue most of the time, and it really felt more like a blend between your standard LMG and an MMG. Sure, you do have to bipod to get the best accuracy, and you couldn't laser fire people for 30 seconds because you'd run out of ammo, but aimed fire without ADSing actually felt pretty accurate at close-ish ranges. It felt like you had more of an aggressive option with this compared to some of the other MMGs, and it's technically not called hipfire because you are aiming, you just can't aim down the sight, but I was able to take quite a few people out without bipodding or aiming down the sights, and at longer ranges than I ever expected to. So I can see this gun being a bit more fun to use than some of the other medium machine guns, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't tend to have much fun with the medium machine guns very often, because you generally have to play so defensive with them, and that's just not my playstyle. I like to attack and flank, but I did enjoy using this one a lot more. When it comes to weapon specs, well, I've gone a bit different to how I imagine most people will go, and I might revert it down the line, but I quite enjoyed this setup. First of all, I went for quick reload to improve the gun's reload time. Normally I don't bother with that because the other option was less vertical recoil, and considering this gun is already super accurate when you're bipoded because you have to as it's a medium machine gun, I didn't really see the benefits of less vertical recoil. And then instead of going for flashless propellant, which reduces your muzzle flash, I opted to go for ported barrel, which reduces horizontal recoil, and that's the hardest to control. And then improved bipod accuracy, and lastly 10% faster bullets to help hit moving targets. The left hand options reduce your muzzle flash and improve the rate of fire from 770 rounds per minute all the way up to 900. I think a lot of people will go for this option, but the reality is that with only 30 bullets and no way to increase the mag size, I felt that I had a bit more control with the slower rate of fire, and it's hardly slow firing to begin with either. I might change it up as I play with the gun a bit, but I wanted to try something a bit different this time, as usually I wouldn't go with that extra bipod accuracy. So what else can we expect with Chapter 4? Well, next week in Tides of War there's a lovely face paint up for grabs. But the following week we've got the Carabin 1938 semi-auto rifle. There are also vehicle customization options coming in Chapter 4, a lot of which were accidentally added in the recent patch and then removed. And in July we're getting a brand new map called Marita, and a soldier rank increase too, which I'm sure will be very welcomed by a bunch of players. And that's it for today, guys. I think Battlefield has a very important 6 months ahead of it. The game has a long way to go in terms of patch quality, and arguably a longer way to go in keeping players appeased with new content. And there have already been a lot of weapons found in the game files that are going to be introduced with the new chapter of Tides of War, and hopefully the new maps coming in this chapter, and then Operation Underground later in the year to try and keep the interest high. And that's all for today, guys. Do let me know your thoughts down below. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.